Ladies and gentlemen, friends of the fight game, gather close and listen to the echoes of a night that changed everything. I stand before you to tell a story of speed, precision, and the quiet violence of brilliance. It began before the bell even rang, when the arena lights dimmed and a hush swept across the crowd. In that silence, you could feel the weight of expectation pressing down on every heart. Akhmadaliev, proud and determined, carried the hopes of his camp like a heavy crown. He believed in his strength, in his plan, in the hard months of training that carved muscle and resolve into his frame. But across the ring stood Naoya Inoue, the monster, a man who wears no crown yet rules all he surveys. 20 seconds, just 20 seconds, was all it took for the air to change. The first jab from Inoue landed with the crisp authority of a verdict. It wasn't power that shook Akhmadaliev, it was the message, silent yet deafening. His eyes flickered, a moment's doubt slipping through like a crack in stone. I watched as his spirit shifted, subtle but unmistakable. The crowd sensed it too, that tiny fracture in confidence. Inoue did not rush, he never does. He measured the distance, studied the rhythm, and controlled the ring with a calm older than the sport itself. Every feint was a question. Every step was an answer. Akhmadaliev swung with heart, but the target kept vanishing like smoke. The first round stretched on, each second a lesson in inevitability. Inoue's punches were not wild storms, they were scalpel cuts, precise and merciless. You could see Akhmadaliev thinking, recalculating, searching for a path that no longer existed. The corner shouted instructions, but even their voices carried a thread of worry. By the third round, the pattern was set. Inoue's timing stole the breath from the room. Akhmadaliev tried to press forward, but every advance met a counter like a door slammed shut. The monster's eyes never blinked. They say spirit wins fights, but what happens when the spirit is broken before the body? Every jab from Inoue whispered, "You cannot win." Every cross thundered, "You will not break me." The minutes turned to rounds, but the outcome was written early. Fans leaned forward, captivated by the artistry. No reckless chase, no wasted motion, just mastery. Akhmadaliev's shoulders sagged, his own punches growing hesitant. You could almost hear his thoughts, "What must I do?" But the answer was already in front of him, wearing the calm mask of a champion. By the sixth round, each exchange was a sermon on skill. The monster dictated pace, distance, and destiny. Even when Akhmadaliev landed clean, the crowd barely stirred. It was like striking a mountain. Inoue absorbed, adjusted, and replied with something sharper. The bell between rounds sounded like mercy. Trainers tried to light a fire in Akhmadaliev's heart. But fire cannot burn in a storm without oxygen. The late rounds became a quiet march. The challenger's face told the truth long before the scorecards. And when the final bell rang, the result was beyond debate. Unanimous decision. Akhmadaliev stood upright, but inside he knew the battle had ended far earlier. Reporters asked what happened. He spoke of preparation, of plans undone in seconds. He admitted that 20 seconds into the fight, he felt the shift. A single moment where belief faltered and the shadow of inevitability crept in. That is the power of Naoya Inoue. Not merely to strike, but to dismantle. Not merely to win, but to take away hope itself. I tell you this because numbers on a record cannot capture it. It is something you feel in the arena, in the marrow of your bones. It is the silence after his punches land. It is the look in an opponent's eyes when they realize they are prey. Akhmadaliev is no weak man. He is a warrior, proud and skilled. But the monster is different. He fights as if time bends to his will. He carries no arrogance, only certainty. That certainty is what breaks spirits before fists can. Remember this night. Remember the lesson of those first 20 seconds. Champions are made in the gym. Legends are made in moments. Naoya Inoue creates those moments again and again. He steps into the ring and rewrites the laws of combat. And we, lucky witnesses, can only stand in awe. So I speak not just of a fight, but of an era. An era ruled by quiet dominance. An era where a monster shows us beauty in destruction. Let the record books note the decision. Let the crowd remember the spectacle. But those who were there will recall something deeper. The turning of a soul under the weight of perfection. The silent surrender of a warrior's certainty. That is the story of Akhmadaliev versus Inoue. That is the story of the night belief broke. And it began with a single, perfect jab.